right, y'all. Welcome back and happy Sunday. It's time for my dad to thoughts and grades from Tennessee versus New Mexico State. And I was able to go through, watch the all 22 film, every player on every play multiple times. So I have a much better understanding of what went wrong and what went right. And there's a difference from what we do in a post game show like last night in what we see and feel from the live TV copy because you can't see really too much of anything. Like all 22, you can see everything. It's just like a totally different ball game. Things aren't going to be as bad and in some cases as good as what you thought watching it live. I'll say that this week I feel about the same as I did last night. Some things aren't as bad. We'll talk about how that looks. And at the end, we will get to some Florida stuff. I want to show you what they did versus Ole Miss or what Ole Miss did versus them. I told y'all I can't stand playing teams after Ole Miss because they're on the same offensive system. It just feels like it's an extra week of practice for the team that we're playing. You know what I mean? But huge game versus Florida, so we'll probably spend more time on that and we'll kind of like fly through the like recap and day after thoughts from the game yesterday. But y'all please do make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Shouts out to our members. And we'll start off right here with some of the things that I noticed. So number one for me is with the offensive line. I felt like watching it live that we were just getting dominated up front. Not all the time, but just like way too much for my liking, for my taste. And it was mostly within our running game. Why couldn't we find any like running lanes? Like why weren't there enough open holes? We should have been able to run the football, I think, a lot better versus that team yesterday. But it wasn't so much of our guys getting dominated as it was from our scheme. Now, we've talked about this over the course of the year, too. We've transitioned some from the veer and shoot all the time to more like pro style elements. With the veer and shoot, you spread the field out real wide. There's natural running lanes. But with more like pro style and tighter splits, so on and so forth, you have to actually know who to pick up. So within our like running scheme, I don't think that we're doing a good job of teaching the players or like the scheme isn't good with who we're blocking. But the offensive line, like when they were blocking people, for the most part, they were doing a good job. But outside of that, I'd say that our centers, and not so much William Satterwhite, this was mostly with Sam Pendleton and Shem Umarov. They were falling down too much. This is something else we've talked about over the course of the year. We can make some tweaks to some of this stuff, but as far as like overhaul changes, that ain't going to happen. I mean, it's going to take a whole offseason to get some of this stuff fixed. But that was a bigger issue for us within our passing game. Like guys have got to stay on their freaking feet. Yeah, I don't care what the reason is that you're falling down, unless you're on defense or something to make a tackle, whatever, or you're pancaking somebody. You should be on your feet playing football. So had to be better from that standpoint. Didn't like what I saw there. Number two, Joey Aguilar, we know that he threw those two picks versus a team that, I mean, come on, bro. Like, you shouldn't be throwing two picks versus this team. I think that over the course of the year, they've generated a bunch of turnovers. Told y'all, I watched 10 clips of those guys. Didn't even look at their stats. Didn't need to. We should have been very dominant versus that team. But I'm not going to fully blame Joey Aguilar. I don't think that he processes and reads the field very well. But also, the staff has got to know that, and then they've got to give him some easier reads and some easier looks. We went right back to what we've talked about from last season with the veer and shoot, where it's too much vertical stuff. And we also talked about it last week, or not last week, but the week before last versus Oklahoma, when we're running too much stuff down the field, there's no like check down. It's not enough check down options. It's not enough good route combinations. So I would say on about 90% of the passing plays, we should have some routes that go short, some routes that go intermediate, and some routes that go deep, right? It might just be one in each spot or several in different spots. It doesn't really matter, but you've got to spread the field out from that standpoint. It's a lot easier on your quarterback. It's a lot easier on the offensive line and the entire offense. But we went right back to it where it's, hey, man, we've got three guys that are all running, we'll call it 15-yard comebacks, or they're all going vertical, or you know what I'm saying? Like, or they're all going deep vertical is what I should have said. But listen, we've got to do better. You know what I'm saying? Like that is on the staff. You know who the quarterback is. And it doesn't really matter. I think that with any quarterback, that's a very difficult situation to be in. So I hate that we're still doing that. But that's got to get fixed. That can get fixed. There's no reason that it hasn't already been fixed. All right. So moving on. Let's talk about the defense. I think that our major or like our main problem over the course of the year has been like with the hybrid stuff that we do. So hybrid, I'm talking about three-man front defenses, four-man front defenses. There's different principles for a three-man front and for a four-man front. Tennessee runs both. What I don't like is that we mix some of the principles within each of them. So with like a three-man front, we're running some four-man front principles. Makes no sense. Within a four-man front, we're trying to run some three-man front principles. And it's leaving some big holes for people to run the football. It's messing with our pass rush. Like, I like that we're multiple. I like that we can be versatile because you can have answers to different things. But we're running a defensive style that isn't necessary, but in very limited situations. If it's going to be four-man front, bro, run the four-man front freaking principles. And same thing for the three-man front, or any other front. Run the correct principles for that and stop trying to mix and match because it's putting our players in some bad spots. Now, with that being said, we know that guys like Jaden P, he looks really good playing at linebacker. He looks really good playing out in space. And we also know that we don't have that many star players. I think really all we have right now is J-Mac. We have no depth at star. We've talked about this over the course of the year, too. Bro, run some more 4-3 or run some more 3-4. I would rather 4-3 because I think that we have better athletes out there if we do it that way. But it forces us to run the true principles for the fronts. And it also will help us to slow down teams' running games. And we're not really, I know that Coach Banks wants to be this man coverage team, but we don't have the personnel to do that. Even playing nickel, you know what I'm saying? Like even playing that 3-3-5, we don't have the personnel to to do that. We haven't had it. We haven't really run it too much for most of the year. So you're going to be running zone anyway. Like and I'm not saying only run 4-3. You still have to run some nickel sometimes. But as much as we can, run more 4-3 and get our best players out there, get our best lineup out there, get where we have more like depth at different spots out there. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of like what my thoughts are just for like the first part of it. But let's move on to this next part. I have my top 14 players. These are mostly going to be underclassmen. It's all like backup players, guys that don't really start. But this is my top 14. It's not in any real order necessarily, but these are the guys that I feel like for sure Tennessee needs to try to hold on to for next year. I think that they're in a good spot to be able to help us out next season. There's some other guys. I'd say I probably have about maybe 20-ish players that could have been on this list, but I wanted to limit it to just like a top 14. But number one, G-Mac, obviously quarterback, only got to throw the football twice. He hit on one to Cole Harrison on a boot play. I love boots because as we talked about on the previous slide, you want to be able to have some route concepts that take up 3 levels of the field. With boots, you always have that. You've got somebody that's short, typically tight end. You've got somebody on like a crossing pattern that's on the second level, and then you have something going vertical. So this is why so many NFL teams run it. It just works. You know what I'm saying? Because you're coming off of like some run action. You know what I mean? So anyway, not to go too deep into it, what I like from what GMAC did out there last night is on the pass that he hit to Cole Harrison. Of course, he's a redshirt freshman tight end. We haven't seen him too much, but he got the football out of his hands quickly because if you come off of the boot, you're looking downfield, you could throw it to the tight end on that first level, or you could wait for the second level, or if the third level is there, you can also throw that. It's typically never there. But he was just very, very quick with it. He threw it straight to his tight end, which means that the tight end's going to have more room to be able to run because it takes the defense time to get to the tight end coming off of that like run action, right? So he got it to him quick and he let him get up the field. I think that the play would have been a first down. Cole Harrison fumbles. Cole Harrison kind of like laid on the ground, which I don't like. The ground's not your friend. The play's not over. The whistle didn't blow. Yeah, you might have fumbled it, but you got to get up off the ground and you got to try to go get it back. That's the type of effort that we're looking for. I'm not picking on Cole, but I also saw the GMAC. He was upset. I don't think upset at Cole Harrison, upset at the situation. But as soon as he saw that we were about to get it back, he starts to run over to Cole Harrison. Once he saw that we had it back, he's getting Cole Harrison up. He's like, come on, come on, come on. And also his pass, it was soft. It was right on the money, right in the breadbasket. So I think that he has what we're looking for. And we'll see how well does he do over the course of this offseason. But at number 2, Jordan Burns playing at linebacker. He's a guy listed, I think, like 6'1", 224. He looks a little bit taller than that. And I think now he's probably bigger. He might be close to about 230. And he's got the arms of like a pass rusher. He has really long arms, a very long player. He's a tremendous athlete. P and I always rave about him. And the biggest issue for me personally was he doesn't get off blocks very well. He's not great versus the run. Well, last night he showed that he was able to get to the football quicker. His coverage is going to be good. His blitzing is going to be good. Everything is just about like run support. But he showed a lot of growth from that standpoint. So I'm looking forward to him next season. Brendan Ames playing it like middle linebacker. Love what I'm seeing from him. Taking tremendous strides as a true freshman from the start of the year to where he's at right now. You can tell that he knows what to do. He looks very confident, very comfortable moving around. I think pretty well. And then Dylan Lewis. So this is coming from Pro Football Focus, right? You can see their numbers next to each player. He's listed as number 36 on the roster, though. On Tennessee's roster, he's listed at as number 24. But he was playing. If he was number 36, he's playing at safety last night. He looked really freaking good. Now, I think he's more of like a star player, but he looked really good playing at safety, sticking his face in there. Coverage looks good. you got to watch out for him next season as a guy that might be able to step up and play safety for us. But obviously, the staff is trying to find more safety depth. They've identified that as an issue, just like we have. So I'm very happy to see that. I'm very happy to see him out there on the field. Then we have Trey Poteet, who played outside corner last night. He showed some good things. He's definitely taken some strides as well. And he's a guy that I also think can play at star, but I fully anticipate with a really strong offseason that he's going to be a guy for us next season. Then we have Marion Dow playing at strong side defensive end. I love what I saw from him. He needs to play more, like this season. He really does. I don't know why he's not, but he definitely should be. So he looks good. Ethan Utley, Campbell, and Charles House playing at defensive tackle. Those guys are going to be freaking studs. I mean, getting good penetration, and I'm talking about Ethan Utley right now, playing with speed. We know that he needs to gain a little bit of weight, but he's, I think, gained some since the start of the year. He looks really freaking good. Campbell doing a great job taking on double teams, shedding blocks, and making plays, not even just like from a stat standpoint, but forcing the play where it's supposed to be forced. Charles House, he only had 3 snaps, but same thing. I mean, dude, taking on double teams and just shedding it and showing a whole lot of twitch and strength. And these guys taking on double teams helped our linebackers out. Like we just talked about Jordan Burns and Brendan Ains. Well, they were able to play relatively clean because our guys are holding 2 people at the point of contact up front. That's going to be a huge, huge thing for us this weekend versus Florida. Then we have Carson Gentle at strong side defensive end. He's going to have to get bigger, but I love what I'm seeing from him just from like an effort standpoint and just like playing with his hair on fire and showing some good pops, some good bursts and all that type of stuff. So he looked good. I think that Jaden Lofton, very similar there, showed a lot of very positive things. I was looking out for both of these guys. And then with these last 3 all offensive linemen, again, this is really not in any specific order, but Nick Moore playing at center. I told y'all this last night. I feel the same way after actually watching the film because I didn't even like notice him or recognize him playing last night watching it live. But he's a guy that could potentially be our starting center or, with a good offseason, he can maybe earn their starting spot at center. Now, I want to hold on to Sam Pendleton and William Satterwhite because Nick Moore could also play at guard. But he's a guy that I feel like, man, he's going to have to play for us next year. He just looks really good. He's not a finished product. None of these guys are going to be finished products, but looks really good. Let me also say this because some people might be, wondering and thinking, let me just make sure that this is pointed out that both of the Jadens, they played well. Tyler Redmond played well. This is just about the guys that don't get to play as much, that we didn't get to see, like the guys that play more on mop-up duty. All right. So also running backs. They're not going to be in here because I've already told you I have no questions about our running backs moving forward. But Bennett Warren, man, playing at left tackle and right tackle looked really, really, really good. Max Anderson, same thing. Again, wasn't perfect or not like a finished product. None of these guys are. But those 3 at offensive line, I think they have a great shot to be able to help us out next season. So that's pretty much it for my thoughts with what went on last night. And I do want to turn the page to this Florida game because it is a huge, huge week for us. We all know that. So this is the box score from Pro Football Focus. I want to focus on this. And this side over here, like this, all these columns here, that's going to be just like team numbers. To the right, you've got the rushing numbers for both teams. Everything is for both teams. And then the passing numbers is going to be under this. So starting off with all of the team stuff, we always highlight the total plays for each offense. So Ole Miss's offense had 83 plays, and Florida's offense had 57. Ole Miss does a good job of keeping the other team's offense off the field. They run the football. They stick to the run. And actually, we can just do it this way. Take a look at their total rushing plays. 43 for Ole Miss, 24 for Florida. Will Tennessee do this? Because we know that our running game hasn't been that great. We don't stick to the run. We have to do it. Like we're going on the road playing up against a team that's going to show us a whole lot of 2 deep safety looks. Bro, you've got to be able to run the football. You have to stick to the run. So this is a week that whatever issues we have within our scheme, it's got to get fixed. Absolutely. And maybe we weren't showing it. It's possible that we weren't showing certain things, yesterday because we're saving it for this Florida game. But yeah, that's got to be a huge part of it. And y'all can see the total net yards for both teams. So Ole Miss had about 200 more yards than Florida did. And then we'll keep on going. So first down, y'all can see that here. I'm just going to scroll through, man. Y'all pause it, so third down, Ole Miss was at 38%, Florida was at 43%. But yeah, just pause it and take a look at whatever you want to because there's a lot of good information here. So I'm just going to scroll through this and then we're going to get on over and talk more about the rushing numbers and talk more about the passing numbers for both of these teams yesterday. All right, so we already talked about the like total rushes, but as far as the net yards rushing, Ole Miss had about what, like 149 more yards than Florida did, which is outstanding. Let me also point out that Florida had 5 sacks, so Ole Miss got sacked 5 times. Ole Miss had 1 sack. As far as tackles for loss, I think that Florida might have had either 7 or 9, and Ole Miss only had 3. Okay, so moving forward, average yards per rush. Again, this is net. It's not taking out like lost yardage or any of that. Ole Miss was averaging 6 yards per carry. Florida's averaging 4.6 yards before contact, pretty close, but Ole Miss did a little bit of a better job, 2.5 to Florida's 2 yards per carry. And as far as yards after contact, we can see that Florida didn't do as good of a job as Ole Miss did, man. So Ole Miss had 3.6 yards after contact, and Florida had 2.5. That goes both ways. It just means that the Ole Miss defense did a good job of tackling, and Florida's defense didn't. So that could be because, man, Ole Miss's guys were making people miss, which we'll take a look at the missed tackles too. And Florida's guys weren't doing that as much. We know the number 13, the running back for Florida, P and I very, very high on him. All right. So scrolling through, you can see the tackles for loss there. Again, that's just with rushes. Missed tackles forced on running plays. Ole Miss forced 14 missed tackles only on running plays, and then Florida only forced 2. So again, Tennessee's gonna have to be very clean tackling these guys, just like Ole Miss was. And then our running backs have got to try to make people miss, just like Ole Miss's backs did. As far as total passing plays, Ole Miss had 40 and Florida had 33. Y'all can see the total yards right here. Kind of close. There is a good bit of separation, but kind of close. Obviously, Ole Miss had more passing yards. Y'all can see everything else right there. Let's keep it going. As far as the rate at which they're hitting on passes, Florida was at 50%, which is not good, and Ole Miss was at 74%. I will go into the film. I didn't really get a chance to watch that game, but I will go into the film and break down what Ole Miss did, just like we always do, and we'll be bringing that to our members here, hopefully at some point today. But I have a lot of things that I have to do just as far as getting things ready for this upcoming week with our shows and so on and so forth. So at some point this week, members, be looking out for that. We're gonna break that down for sure. All right, and then we'll just keep on going, man. We'll just scroll through. Y'all can see everything else. As far as the passes of 15 plus yards, 9 for Ole Miss, and then 4 for Florida, and then passes of 20 plus yards. And this is just how many they actually threw. Florida threw 5, but they only hit on 2 of them. And Ole Miss threw 2, and they hit on 1 of them. So they look a little bit better from that standpoint. Now we can see the forced missed tackles within the passing game. There was 4 for Florida, which means that they forced 4, and Ole Miss forced 2. All right, so that's pretty much it from that standpoint. Let's jump back in, and I'll give you kind of like my final thoughts on this matchup. Not fully final, but obviously I'm going to give you like my final opening sorts of thoughts for this matchup versus Florida. You have to be able to run the damn football. You have to be able to tackle, and we have to just take care of the football. That's pretty much what it all boils down to. We can't have a whole lot of pre-snap penalties and all that. We have to have a very, very clean game, and we'll dive a lot deeper into it, obviously, coming up tomorrow. But y'all, please share your thoughts down in the comments section. Please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and we will be talking to y'all tomorrow. Thanks. Peace. Thanks for watching, and please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, because that keeps us growing inside of the YouTube algorithm. And if you did like this video, here's another one that you might also enjoy. Thank you. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.